What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Rings and Things. I'm excited. Today, I got my buddy, Belal. I'm so excited to have you on the show today. We got some great news about our Slovenian friend, Luka Doncic. He's
Slovenian star.
decided to extend. Yeah, he's decided to extend his stay in Los Angeles, and I don't blame him. I was never this. This did not come as a shock to me. But let's just quickly dive right in. So the Lakers and Luka Doncic signed a 3-year extension, $165 million maximum contract, and with a player option in the final year. Bilal, give me your thoughts on how this came to be. All the haters that came on the timeline talking
Right.
about Luka is sad, he's pouting, he doesn't look like he's gonna stay there
He's going to
this
leave.
off
He's going to go
season.
back to Dallas.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
all this
mean,
stuff.
it's crazy. First, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Great news, despite what some people at ESPN might have been telling us, certain guys with their two thumbs up trying to figure things out. This was never in doubt. I mean, the first day he was eligible to sign the extension, he did so at 9 a.m. LA time. Like, he didn't even wait. Dude went in, got a workout in, signed the extension, kept it moving. So, he killed all, anticipation and broke a lot of hearts, people that wanted him out. I definitely had some tweets bookmarked that I went and revisited once he signed that extension.
Oh, you got to do that.
But like you said, 3 years, 165 million. He's got a player option at the end of it. I mean, we know when Nico, Laker fans' favorite GM, traded him to the Lakers, he really screwed him money wise. He cost him his supermax, and so Luka took a 3-year deal with opt out. He'll be eligible at that point to sign for the 10-year supermax, which is like 5 years, 400 million plus, just an absurd number. I read he'll probably be the first $80 million man, making about $1 million a game until Wemby gets his $500 million contract.
Yeah,
Which is just insane to think of. Mike Conley contract when he got 30 million, we were like, oh my god. Now it's like you got seventh men getting 30 million. But I think this is the deal that everybody expected him to take, right? It locks him in with the Lakers. He commits to the team. Now they need to commit to him, and he'll be able to recoup his money that he lost in this trade. And I think, luckily for Laker fans, this is a discount. You got a top 3 player in the world that's not going to be in the top 10, 12, 15 highest paid players in the league for the next 3 years as he goes into his prime. So, I think the front office really needs to recognize that and take advantage. It's nice.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail in the coffin with commitment, right? So there's a commitment that needs to come, and it's already coming to fruition from the Luka side. Not only has he extended, he's put pen to paper. He's transformed completely his body. This dude is unrecognizable. I wish I could pull up the picture, but if you look at the picture when he was in the Lakers jersey just like a few months ago, and if you look at him now, or if you look at just the presser, like when he was traded to Los Angeles versus what he looked like today, this dude looks like a new man.
First of all, he doesn't look depressed, right? Now he looks excited. So that's step one.
He's so happy, and he's excited. One thing I want to talk about, and we were talking about this in the pre-show, but JJ Redick, Rob Pelinka, Luka, and his team, I think they got dinner like a few weeks ago. It was at a steakhouse. You were mentioning the name, but there's been a vested interest in getting both parties comfortable, getting alignment. Even Pelinka dropped names of Luka's team members. I didn't even know these people, but the fact that
I looked them up after.
Exactly. I don't even know these people, but there were like Mark Stein reported that part of Luka's tenure, probably in the last season or so, Nico and the Mavs started to push some of those guys out, and Pelinka and the front office and the Lakers. What have they always done? They have always kept the one thing that we can't knock the Lakers on is they always take care of their stars. So the second Luka comes in, they're like, whoever you want to bring to the ship, like bring them on, like bring the whole family. Exactly. And today we saw Luka's dad, Luka's mom was even there. This is the first time I saw her at the Lakers facility. So now it's Rob's chance is like, this is where he needs to shine, because you made such a good
Absolutely.
point about the contract. Like, we have a top 2, top 3 NBA player on our roster for the next few years, making what he's gonna be like the 15th to 12th highest paid guy in the NBA.
And if
So
you look at that list, some of those names, man, you're like, there's no way this guy should be making more than Luka.
Exactly. So this is the time where the Lakers need to make the. So here's the thing, and I went back to this in a previous episode. I think Pelinka got a little, gun shy and made that Mark Williams trade like right off the bat, super excited. But I feel like, if there's the right deal, they'll make that deal. And the fact that they've kind of brought on more, Bill Duffy clients into the building, there's a little bit more of a network for Rob to work with. So the next few months are definitely going to be interesting, because what did Luka say at the presser? He wanted to be a Laker. He wants his name in the rafters, and he wants to win now.
Now, no 2-year plan, none of that. And, Rob touched on that. First, you bring up the Mark Williams trade. I do find it ironic and kind of funny that I understand why they rescinded it. But the one time he went all in, immediately he was like, oh, I can get out. I'm going to get out. We'll redo this, And it's worked itself out. DeAndre Ayton, not arguably, he's a better player than Mark Williams, and you kept your asset.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, if you look at Luka's salary for the next 4 years, you have 46, 51, 55, and then if he opts in, 59, which is like 5 to 10 million less per year than every guy in his range, the Jokers, the Giannis's, the SGAs. And Rob really has to take advantage of that. And he touched on that in the press conference a few times while he was mentioning Luka's crew. A quick aside, you're right about his trainers, by the way. The Mavs pushed them out, and Rob shouted them out like 5 times during this press conference, and that is the Laker touch. For all the things that the front office does wrong, they treat stars right every time. And everybody wants to make jokes and photoshops and all that, but it works. I mean, the lineage is crazy of Laker stars. But, going back to building a team roster, Rob did touch on that. His thing was flexibility.
Yeah.
He brought up the second apron, which, I mean, made me and I'm sure a million other people roll their eyes a bit. But this time around, he did explain it in a way that makes sense. Look, he said, once you get locked into an apron, it's really hard to get out of there. And we've seen that with Phoenix. You see that with like the Bucks. Cleveland's about to get there. The window's tight. So if you don't have that flexibility, you can't really upgrade as you want to as you grow with your star. And when you have a guy that's 26 and is a top 3 player in the world, it does make sense to try and maintain that flexibility. But, like you mentioned, Luka wants to win. So there's a fine line there he's going to have to walk, where he's going to maintain as much flexibility as possible, and they've got an eye on cap space. But if a move presents itself, you have to do it, And speaking of the cap space, I mean, McMenamin that we mentioned, he did put out an article today. He said they're not looking to create max space and to chase stars. They want roster flexibility. And I saw 2 things where next year, depending on player options and letting guys walk, they can go from in the first apron to like 85 million in cap space. And then the following year, max cap space again, if they don't do that with a Luka max and with Reeves on a new deal. So, they're going to have an opportunity to really build a juggernaut around Luka. But the clock's ticking. There's no run up to it. You got to go,
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, so it's definitely exciting times. Like, this is one of the off seasons where I'm like truly excited to be a Lakers fan. Like, do you remember like the past few off seasons where we've done like absolutely nothing and we just sit around and see other teams either make trades or, get XYZ player that would fit perfectly on the Lakers? And this is one of the off seasons to be truly excited for. And I really view this as like the next chapter. Like, we found our perfect kind of sequel from like the LeBron AD era to now the Luka Doncic Lakers. And that's no knock against LeBron.
Careful.
And AD. Yeah, no, I know. I have to be careful, apparently. I mean, I love LeBron. So, I mean, here's the thing. I think we can go like a million different ways from here, right? So we can talk about how the options that Pelinka has now, right? The beauty of the offseason, and this is what I keep going to the timeline, because every time a player gets traded or signed to another team, the timeline crashes over the fact that the Lakers couldn't go and get
Why
him.
didn't we get him?
Why
It's
didn't
like a
we?
pastime.
Oh, we didn't
It's
even
like, how come that
like,
10th man from, this 15-win team went there and didn't come to us? It's just
like people were crashing over Josh Okogie going
yeah,
to the
yeah.
Houston Rockets.
How
I
could
mean,
you let him go to Houston to be their
I-
12th man? Like, it's
yeah.
fine.
I mean, I like
Yeah.
the fit and I understand like the skill set, whatever, but like you also have to look at like where we're at in terms of the roster. We have 14 roster spots filled. We're about $1 million under the first apron. So we would obviously need to clear additional cap space to be able to sign a player to that 15th spot. Unfortunately, I don't really see a pathway currently as it stands today for them to get there. I think that the roster that we have is the roster that we are going to head into the season, which is fine because let's quickly review the players that did come in to the Lakers. We got DeAndre Ayton, who's going to be a big upgrade for the Lakers. I actually think he's going to have a big season. Marcus Smart, that came out of left field. I did not anticipate us getting Marcus Smart. I was happy with like a DeAnthony Melton type signing or some sort of kind of combo guard. And injuries aside, I think Marcus Smart has a lot of tread on his tires for sure. But I think he's going to be such a voice off the court, and he's going to be able to push a lot of the guys on the team. And the team that's getting younger and more athletic, I think it's going to pay dividends on both ends. Jake LaRavia was also a surprise signing. So there have been, there's been intention, I feel, with a lot of the moves that the front office has made. But the beauty behind all of this is they gave up no draft compensation.
Zero. The only assets they gave up were to move up in the draft, right? To get the arrow.
And what did they give up? They just gave up cash.
Nothing. Cash. Yeah. I mean, honestly, look, rightfully so, we tend to criticize Laker front office, right? They have earned a bit of a reputation of, head scratching moves and holding on to assets too long. But I don't know how you don't look at this offseason as a slam dunk, to be honest with you. Luka re-signed. You got your starting center for nothing. You got Smart, who could be your 5th starter or your 6th man. And you took a flyer on the 23-year-old who potentially could be a two-way wing. You shot like 43% from 3 last season. Mm-hmm. And, offensively, he's better than Finney-Smith is. I mean, we'll find out on defense, right? But that's exactly the kind of guy you want to take a flyer on, especially in a league that's so devoid of 3-and-D wings. It's so hard to find a good one. Yeah, and if he hits or if the arrow hits, incredible, And the great thing is none of these guys are on the books long-term. And like you said, you didn't give up any assets. You gave up $20 million total to add 3 rotation players. I mean, how many teams did that this summer? So you have to give credit where credit's due. And shout out to Luka, who started recruiting, right? He went and got Ayton. He went and he got Smart. And yeah, I mean, I like the roster as is. I think you still need another wing, a two-way wing. You probably need a better backup big than Jackson Hayes. But like you mentioned, 14 roster spots right now, only $1 million in spending power. Historically, this front office likes to wait until the buyout market to fill that last spot. And I think once you get closer to the deadline, I do expect some type of consolidation trade. There's too many expiring contracts on the roster right now. It would just be stupid and malpractice to just go through the whole season and not move any of them, So I think we'll see some changes. A lot of people are talking about Andrew Wiggins. That asking price, from what we heard, is astronomical.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, even with Connect not really doing us any favors at Summer League, that's still a crazy ask, So
yeah.
I think as we get closer to the deadline, you'll see more reasonable asks. You'll see guys available that we didn't expect. So I agree with you. I think this is the roster going into the season. I don't think this is the roster come playoff time, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I mean, here's the thing. Let me ask the fans. Let me ask people like on the timeline. What trades are there, especially if you're trying to go get a wing, a 3-and-D player? What trades are out there that a team will take on these expiring contracts and take limited draft compensation? No team is going to do that right now. Maybe for teams that are, trying to, see what they have with their current players, by the time the trade deadline hits, you never know where they're kind of jockeying. Like, okay, play-in is not in our, mindset or goals. We want to just tank. That's the opportunistic view to have and to be able to take advantage of, okay, I have a Dalton Connect for you. I can flip a pick, or maybe I involve another team in this deal to maybe reroute a player or so, and you offload money to us, and we send you Gabe or Maxi Kleba, and you just cut him, and then give like a rookie or a sophomore on your bench like extra minutes to see what you really have in terms of value. Why not take that view? And let's preface with the fact that I think of all the off seasons, we actually have probably the more balanced roster heading into the season. Whereas,
Absolutely.
like, let's just go last season, for example. We still had D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, and those two were supposed to be our like starting point guard, so to speak.
Right.
Like there was like huge question marks coming into that season. You can go back to another example where we brought Russell Westbrook back again, and it's like, what are we doing? Like, what's the point? Like, we're gonna redo this experiment again, and then we waited till the deadline, and I'll give Rob credit. That was definitely a good deal that he was able to find. But let's just be real. I mean, the team is definitely more balanced. I'm excited that Luka's taking his health, really seriously, and he's going to come into shape. And we don't know how things will go from there. So, what are some, if you could name any? I know we didn't really talk about a pre-show, but if there are any names, or like, what are the archetype of players that the Lakers and the front office should look into?
I mean, absolutely. I think it's going to be a 3-and-D wing, a guy that can play both ways. We did mention Wiggins. I think his skill set fits what you're looking for. I don't know if he fits what we're looking for. He's kind of a space cadet sometimes, right? Yeah. Theoretically, though, a guy that is in that mold, honestly, it's hard to come up with guys off the top of my head because they just don't become available, unless like
available. That's the thing.
I mean, unless this LeBron thing goes completely sideways and the Knicks are like, take one of our wings, I just don't see it. You're going to have to wait to see how the season plays out and who becomes available. I think Houston has a lot of guys that are wings, and I think somebody's going to get squeezed out of the rotation. Now the question is, would they do a deal with the Lakers? I doubt that. We're going to have to wait. It's kind of like the Mavs 2 years ago, right? When they had Luka, where it was like, yeah, he took them to the finals, but they made some major trades at the deadline. This wasn't a roster built perfectly around him. And I think that's where we are right now. I think the team is good enough. I know a lot of people are like Denver, Houston, OKC, Clippers, Minnesota, maybe the Lakers. I'm a lot higher on the Lakers strictly because I think people forget what Luka Doncic is. I mean, he was a 34-point triple-double out of shape, not pissed off at the whole world. The guy wants to go scorched earth. Like, would you be surprised if he was a 35-point triple-double this year? I wouldn't.
I would not be surprised. No.
I think by himself, he can carry a team to a top 2 or 3 seed. And then you have LeBron, you have Reeves. The pieces, like you said, make sense. This is the first summer where it's like, hey, there's actually a plan that makes sense. It's not like we need some stoppers for the wing. Let's go sign Pat Bev and a bunch of undersized guards, or what they did last summer. So the idea is there. It's going to take a couple months, I think, until we really kind of get a true vision of what they want to do. Who's their PJ Washington, right? Yeah. Dallas they didn't have PJ Washington marked the summer before, but he became available and they were aggressive. They got him. Or Gafford. You're just going to have to wait for moves to present themselves. I wish I had a list of guys that I could rattle off, but I honestly think it's going to be someone we're not even thinking about, that is not on anyone's mind, that you think is locked in. I mean, I don't know. Dream for me is like a Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. Yeah. The Pels just completely bottom out, and you can try and give them a first and see if they'll send somebody, but I don't know. I think this is going to be a weird season. Like the last couple of years, we've seen teams go for it instead of tanking and bottoming out at the deadline because of the play-in. But I think this draft class is so loaded, you're probably going to see the opposite this year. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time you get to the deadline, 10 teams are trying to tank, because there are 3 or 4 legit number 1 type guys in this draft. So I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I wish I knew. I wish I could look at.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I know they'll get somebody, but it's just who's it going to be? What team is not going to meet expectations? Who's going to start to fall apart? Who's going to not get the minutes they want and ask out? And then from there, I think you'll start seeing some names you'd be surprised by.
No, 100%. And the reason why I asked that question is to tie it back to what Pelinka was talking about, and it's just flexibility, right? So if you have multiple options at bay, when an opportunity presents itself, that's when you pounce, right? So you can be like uber aggressive and try to go make a deal. But it also takes two teams to tango, right? Like you need to offer something that's of interest to another team. And then if you're asking for someone that's probably not readily available currently, the ask is just going to be insane, which is what we're seeing with the Wiggins thing, right? If you ask me in maybe like 4 or 5 months, maybe the offer changes. Maybe there's a player off the bench for Miami Heat that, is playing really well and deserves more playing time to, understand where his value is to extend him potentially, right? So
100%.
let's go back to the presser, because I think for me, the biggest thing is just hearing Luka's comments, right? And then seeing all the teammates that showed up, right? And I don't buy this nonsense of like, LeBron not being there, Reeves not being there. It's the summer, man. I don't really care. Like people are busy. They're not
flying
like
from
marking
your yacht.
they're not marking their calendars for like a random signing date, right? But the fact that like half the team showed up is really cool to see. And just Luka's overall comments, like his excitement, his commitment, it just reassured me as a fan, and it should have reassured every fan watching the presser or even just reading the comments. Like this is truly a partnership between the Lakers and Luka Doncic, and I really feel this sky's the limit, to be honest with you.
I'm with you 100%. I mean, look, you have a guy like Luka entering his prime. All those crazy Photoshops become a reality. Let's be honest. A guy like that can pretty much handpick his sidekick. Eventually he's going to bring in another superstar, and then it's going to be, the Lakers are, it's unfair. The league is rigged, blah, blah, blah. And it's just cool. I like when people talk like that. That means Lakers are doing something right. But I agree with you. I mean, he's committed. His comments, him and Pelinka both multiple times mentioned the partnership, right? Working together on roster decisions. You mentioned their dinner a couple months ago. They went to Craig's out here in LA, which is famous. Celebrities coming in and out all the time. And instead of walking out, for pictures, they're walking out with these big binders of like player data and profiles and trying to figure out who fits the roster. And I mean, look, Ayton, Smart, Luka recruiting those guys shows you he's in lockstep with the front office, right?
The fact that he's calling these guys, that's insane.
100%. Go ahead, sorry.
Did you hear the Marcus Smart story?
Yeah, he's like, he called us, I want to play with you.
He called him, and Marcus Smart is like, no, dude, Luka didn't call me.
He didn't take it.
And he didn't take the first call. He didn't take the first call.
He had to get the second call. And the guy made a second call.
The fact that Luka called him a second time, that like, to me, like if I'm that elite at anything and I'm calling someone to join me on my, journey or whatever it is, like a second, third time, that tells me something about character.
You better take the first call. Most guys would be like, he didn't take the first call, forget it. But I agree. And people in Dallas were complaining he didn't recruit. And he would say himself, it's not part of my gig. I come to play, But again, shout out Nico Harrison. There's a new fire under this guy. We see it physically, mentally. You can see it. And I think it's a nightmare for the rest of the league, if I'm being honest with you. When a guy who, obviously he's always been motivated. He's a professional athlete. He's one of the five, I think one of the three best players in the world. But when that guy has a chip on his shoulder, forget it. Like, I fully expect an MVP season this year. I would be shocked if he's not top 2 MVP this year. And I think he's going to really blitz the league. And, a lot of those takes that, again, we have bookmarked and saved, when this trade happened, they're going to look really dumb really fast. A guy goes to the Lakers, suddenly he's damaged goods. It doesn't matter who it is. You're talking a guy that carried his team to the finals, 10 months before that trade, 8 months before the trade. Suddenly he's a Laker, he's a slob, he's out of shape, he's never going to get it together. It's over for him. It's good that it seems like he heard all these things. He channeled them correctly. We all saw the article the day after the season ended. He said, let's go. He didn't take time off. He went straight into a new regimen. Said he didn't touch a basketball for a month for the first time in his life. And he just seems ready.
Yeah, that was amazing to hear.
He's just like, he's committed and he's locked in. And I think the sky's the limit. Look, we're spoiled, right? Like we saw this with Kobe. Okay.
Yeah.
I just remember, I'm older than you are, but I remember Kobe the year after they traded Shaq. The first season was rough, right?
Yeah.
They were terrible. He got injured. They shut him down. It was bad. That next season he came back. He had it wasn't even a decent roster, and he ran through the league. He averaged
You don't remember
35.
all the marketing he had? Like, all
Oh,
the
yeah.
marketing that Nike did for him in the offseason? I still remember it was just him in, like, just all alone in the gym, just working on, putting on additional muscle to just go through that tier like you talked about.
Yeah. I mean, he came out, he carried probably the worst roster we've ever seen to a playoffs where, like, everybody in the West basically won 50 games, and he was up 3-1 on those Nash Suns. I mean, we know what happened, but I think
Yeah.
you're going to see that kind of fire from Luka. I just, he's locked in. Like, you can just see it. All the guys talking about is, I can't wait for training camp. I can't wait for the preseason and get with my teammates to get this thing going. Like, he knows something great is coming. And honestly, like you said, I think it would be insane for Laker fans not to be excited about the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I think we're just barely scratching the surface.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I honestly made this page and this channel was because of this. The fact that we were able to bring in Luka. I'm just honestly excited for this next phase, next era of Lakers basketball. And I'm so happy to cheer and root for Luka and for him to be a Laker. And that's like literally the one of the main reasons why I wanted to start this. One thing that I'm super excited about, addition to that, is I felt like we never saw LeBron, Reeves, and Luka firing on all cylinders last season. Maybe it was like kind of like for a few
You saw flashes.
quarters or flashes, but I really feel like with offseason and Luka taking things really seriously, and it's obviously going to show, like, from a leadership standpoint. I think everything's just going to come together all at once, like with Luka, Reeves, and LeBron. And I'm not worried about, their commitment either. I know they bleed purple and gold, to be honest with you. So there's going to be a certain energy about them next season. And I actually appreciate all the social media markets and ESPN and all these big brands. Dude, keep underdogging the Lakers. Just keep doing it. Like, fuel this fire, fuel the motivation. Like, whatever you guys want to say, let's add it to the bulletin board, because these guys, I mean, these guys are competitors at the end of the day, and they read everything, they see everything. And ESPN, I just did a video. I released it earlier today. They did a power rankings, and they had the Lakers 10th.
Yeah, behind a team that made no moves.
And this is,
it's
free agency, and the Warriors have made no moves. They have made I legit crashed out when I got to the Warriors part of the list. Not to mention the Clippers part, because they're like 40. Their average age is 40 plus.
Could you imagine the discourse around a Laker roster whose average age is like 35? They would have been written off already. But it's the Clippers. They're like, hey, they got 11 of them. It could work. It's just
they're so deep.
There's so much depth.
So much depth. But I mean, are we really going to believe in a Kawhi / Harden led team? Like, come on now.
I mean, they didn't do it when those guys were all in their prime. So, but hey, if they can catch lightning in a bottle, more power to them. I mean, I'm with you. I think this reminds me a little bit of 2019, where I think they're discounting what the Lakers have done, and you've got a roster full of guys that are motivated, right? You got Luka. We already know he's motivated. You got Austin Reeves headed into a contract year, coming off of poor playoffs. And I just saw a Bleacher Report list that said he's one of the 5 most overrated players in the league. You have year 23 LeBron, who we don't know what's going on with LeBron. I think he's going to be a Laker, at least for this season. I still think he retires a Laker. But once the season starts and you see these guys, LeBron's going to be locked in. There's no question. And you even have guys like Marcus Smart, who has barely played the last 2 years. Everybody says he's done. DeAndre Ayton, the Blazers basically begged him to leave. There's a lot of guys there that have motivations to show, hey, all this other stuff is noise. When we lock in, we're the best of the best. We can be up there with anybody. And, like you were saying, we didn't really get to see what LeBron, Reeves, and Luka together can do when they're all clicking. But I honestly feel like DeAndre Ayton unlocks something like a whole different level on offense. Defensively, he's got his questions, right? But he's 100%. One of the best mid-range shooters in the league. Like I saw a stat. He was like, I think he had the highest percentage between 5 and 15 feet. He can shoot. He can score at the rim. Offensively, he is gifted.
He's so skilled. He's so skilled, dude. Yeah.
There's no question. You can hate everything about his game. You can't take away the fact that he is offensively just incredibly gifted. And, I think a guy like that, you have a Marcus Smart, personally, I would start Marcus Smart. I think, I mean, I will get in trouble with some people for this, but I think you shift Rui to the bench because six-man Rui unleashed. Look, dude, just go get your shot. Like, we know he's a scorer. Two of the starters are sitting. Just go get buckets, And I think Smart brings something that Luka, LeBron, Reeves, and Ayton don't. He's just a dog on defense. Offensively, the questions are there, but you need a guy like that who from the tip-off is like, I got the other team's best player. Don't worry about it. And he's going to be physical. He's going to piss the other team off. He's going to, he's going to mix it up. I feel like you need a guy like that in the starting lineup. I think eventually we will see that. But I'm glad that's not my problem. That's JJ's problem to kind of juggle those guys. You have a lot of options. You got a lot of motivation, a lot of talent. And I really think this team's going to be a lot better than people are expecting them to. And I think they're going to improve that roster this season as well.
Yeah, to that Marcus Smart point, I 100% agree with you. You need some dude to just set the tone, and he's going to do that from tip, like you just said. And to the people that talk about how Rui has struggled off the bench, all you got to do, it's pretty simple. You just got to stagger your starters a little bit. Like we have a plethora of all-world playmakers. So whether it's a LeBron or a Luka or even, Reeves is not obviously at their level, but he can pass. He knows how to play make as long as he has a big out there. He'll be able to find Rui, cut him from the baseline or the corner or duck-ins. So there's options, and that's honestly what excites me with this year's rosters, because there's going to be, like you mentioned JJ, he only trusted 5 dudes in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to have a lot more options.
It almost worked.
Yeah, that's true. It almost worked until they ran out of gas, obviously. Clearly, you can only do so much with 5 guys.
Yeah.
Let's talk about JJ. JJ's year 2. I thought he had a fantastic regular season. I was actually really, impressed, especially given the fact that, we had that whole Hurley saga for like 2 weeks or like a week and a half. Like, oh man, are we really going to be able to poach that UConn's head coach? And then JJ was also doing the finals at the time. And, it was a very prolonged process. And the dude was like, I think brought in or signed like right before the draft, if I'm not mistaken. And they were like, super excited to get Dalton. And then he had to start working, and mapping everything out. And for a first year rookie head coach, I thought he did a solid job. He had his blind spots in the playoffs, but if you look at the history of the NBA and you look at coaches, a lot of first-time rookie coaches have those kind of pitfalls. So not to be surprised there, honestly. And I never expected, to be honest with you, going into last season that we would finish a 3rd seed. That was actually a shock to me. So like when we did hire JJ, I always viewed it as like a future kind of turning point move.
Right.
But what I'm really excited for, and I'm really actually interested in seeing JJ's year 2, is to see where he improves, because there are areas that he could really improve upon from what we know from year 1. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Look, anytime you bring just a head coach, forget experience, a guy that's been in the league 15 years into the Lakers and LeBron James and Anthony Davis, also, it's a circus. For a guy that was a rookie head coach that had no experience at any level, I think he did a great job. A lot of people overlook the fact that in the middle of the season, he lost his star big man. He got traded for a brand new superstar who plays completely differently than anything he had built up to, and adjusted on the fly. And listen, it was exposed in the playoffs. It was a gimmicky defense, but he got them to 50 wins with no bigs. Let's be honest. They were a number one defense. Yeah, they were a top defense for months. Not like a 10-game stretch.
There was like a 24-game stretch last season where they were like the number 1 ranked defense in the NBA.
And that's him adjusting on the fly to his roster, finding schemes that work. He called himself a psychopath, and he's right. That guy is a basketball sicko. So I agree with you 100%. He had a great regular season in my mind, because all the things that happened to take that team to 50 wins in the 3 seed is incredible. I think it's insane he didn't get more pub for Coach of the Year, because I don't think anybody expected the Lakers to be a 3 seed to win 50 games. And so he really did a great job there. But like you said, playoffs rolled around. and Chris Finch gave him a whooping. And it's
Yeah,
expected.
he did.
Finch has been around. Finch went to a conference finals a year before. I think he's been their head coach for like 5 years. You got a rookie head coach. You could see it the last couple of games, right? Like we said, with the 5-man second half, switching the starting lineup, benching Hayes. Like he was trying for anything. And once you get into a series like that where you play a team multiple times, those weaknesses are going to get exposed, right? There's things in his control. There's things out of his control at the end of the day. But I trust him to put in the work. Before the Lakers hired him, my thing was like, I just want them to hire a guy like Dagenhall, who just 20 hours a day is basketball. And that's it. That's his whole life. They did that. I mean, JJ, is much more famous, and he was on ESPN, and he's a former player, but at his heart, he's just a hooper. And you can see it. Like the guy puts in the work. So I trust him. I trust him 100%. I'm excited to see what he does this season. I'm excited to see really what him and Luka do come playoff time, because there's a lot that they need to make up for, I think, in their minds from last season. So to me, JJ's the guy for the next 5-10 years. That from what I saw last year, unless something changes dramatically, I don't see him as a guy that's like stubborn or it has to be his way. He seems malleable. He will adjust. We saw that last year. I'm sure he's getting ready now, and I think he's going to do a great job this season.
Yeah, I'm excited to see JJ and the staff that he has around him. The assistants are going to be coming back most likely to see what they cook up. They finally have a roster that's a little bit more balanced. Like you said, they didn't have a big man. They have a big man this year. We had AD, but we lost AD because of the trade, and then roles kept changing. I mean, it's really challenging to be able to, change roles up on players and then, change up schemes midway. So I do envision, some stability there. And I think that will only help them do their jobs to the best of their ability. So I'm really excited to see that. And I think JJ will have, a really good season. And hopefully, once we get into playoffs, I think one thing I wanted to add to, facing Chris Finch and the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think it was just a bad matchup for us, to be honest with you, right? Because I was looking at that last stretch from the Timberwolves, and they just kicked ass like the last 25, 26 games. Something clicked for them.
They were not a 6 seed.
Yeah, they were not a true 6 seed. They were definitely better. I mean, that was the other thing with the West, too. I mean, the West was really good last year. It got better this it's going to get better this upcoming year. But the records from like 3 seed to like 7, it was like like a half game difference, and there was like so many tiebreakers involved. Like they were all in the same tier, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's kind of what gives me. I don't want to use the word hope, but that makes me more optimistic about what the Lakers' outlook is, because at the end of the day in the West, I feel like it's matchups. Like 1 through like 6. OKC are the champs. They're a level above everybody until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's this huge gap. You know what I mean? I think really matchups matter. Like if the Lakers, I'm not saying the Lakers would have beat OKC, but if they had been in their bracket, they matched up better with OKC than they did with Minnesota, which is crazy to say, but the Lakers just didn't have the size to play with Minnesota, and it was exposed very quickly. But also, like you said, sorry, to go back to JJ, I think another thing, not just that he was changing those lineups and those rotations and schemes, I think it says something that the guys bought in. The players bought in immediately. He said to do something. He switched up the scheme. They were 100% in on it. So I think, you have the team is bought in on the coach. They're bought in on the stars. They're bought in on their roles. The West is a lot closer, I think, than people realize. And I don't know, man. I'm just optimistic. I think the right matchups break your way. This team can go for a run. Once you get to the playoffs with Luka, it's like we've seen it. Anything can happen.
Yeah. I'm honestly like I've always been a big believer in if you have stars and if you got, like Luka, like you just said, and then you pair him up with LeBron, he's probably still like one of the best number 2 options in the NBA, which is crazy to say, right? Like
probably
how often has that sentence ever been said that LeBron is a number 2 option on a team? He's always been a number 1 option for
even
like
at 40
plus years. Yeah, even at 40. But I mean, if you take a closer look at rosters in the NBA, there are not that many number 2 options that are as good as LeBron. Maybe Maybe Jalen Williams can kind of make a case there. I mean, he was fantastic in this playoffs, but again, that team is just so good. So, that play gets elevated. Yeah, it's just overall, I mean, it's just an exciting time. Like between Luka, JJ, and Mark Walter coming in. I mean, this is like another top. Like we didn't even talk about it, but it's like it's been erased from the timeline. But like pretty soon, Luka name dropped him too. Like he literally said he thanked him first. Thank you, Mark. Yeah. Thank you, Jeannie. And then he kept on going on his list. But Mark's gonna be coming in pretty soon, and then really building out that infrastructure. I mean, I talked about this with Jovan, and I asked him like, what are you hearing on the ground? Dude, as soon as Mark comes in and that sale kind of goes final, I mean, that dude is going to build that infrastructure up. And a lot of what we may not hear, I mean, it doesn't need to be public knowledge that like, okay, we added like 5 more resources to, the scouting department. And now we've built out a pro scouting department, which they don't have, quote unquote, I've heard, but there's just so much excitement, dude. Like it's take it however you want to take about it from there.
No, it's crazy. I mean, look, what he did with the Dodgers is they basically invented, the modern scouting department in baseball when he took over the Dodgers. Everybody has copied what they've done, and I expect nothing less with the Lakers. I mean, look, you have the salary cap constraints that you don't have in baseball, and I get it. But like you said, when you have an owner that's willing to spend like that, like pressure's on Rob Pelinka, not just because Luka signed at a discount, but because this ownership group is not. You can't slack with that. Right? He went and I mean, I don't know how in the weeds you are on the baseball side, but when they bought the Dodgers, they went and hired Friedman away from the Rays.
I heard about that.
He do?
Yeah.
He built a perennial contender on like the tightest salary cap constraints you could find. They were the cheapest ownership group, but they were contending every year. So he said, okay, let's take you out of there. Let's give you all the resources in the world. And now look what the Dodgers are. So, I don't think the Lakers will ever hire Sam Presti, but they're going to be looking for that level of guy if Pelinka doesn't get it done.
But dude, here's the thing:
it's all in front of him.
Mark Walter can offer a blank check. That's how much
100%.
He has FU money basically. He's got FU money.
Sam Presti, you want $100 million? Come on through. Yeah, he can 100%.
And I'm assuming, I mean, in that instance where he took Friedman from the Braves, he probably did that. Like whatever, name me a number that will take you from Atlanta and bring you to LA, and we'll build this out however you want. Like I will throw whatever money, whatever resources that you tell me to bring in, and I'll go do it. Like you just give me the direction, and here's the blank check. Man, just like Luka, Mark, Pelinka's doing his thing, even though like, he gets some flack, but he's doing the right things. This is the first year, by the way, I said this a few episodes. The first year he has not signed a Miami Heat guard with the full MLE, and he decided to split it, and he got DeAndre Ayton and Jake LaRavia. Like kudos to him.
Imagine if he had traded for Terry Rozier or something. It would have been the end.
That would be. I mean, I would definitely crash out. I would definitely crash out.
Well, I mean, it's exciting times, like you said. It's exciting times, and we're just at the beginning of them. It feels like. I mean, we might be coming up on the end of the LeBron era, and I'm hoping personally it ends on good terms. It ends well. I think he can ride off with the title if they play this right. And I think people are overblowing it because they're bored and it's LeBron and it's the Lakers. Time will tell, but it's just the beginning of the Luka era. Like, there's just so much to look forward to. My oldest son, he just turned 11. I'm telling him, like, you don't know how lucky you are. Like, I had Shaq and Kobe, and then I had like 5 years of the Lakers sucking in the middle of like the prime of my fandom. Kobe won again, and then they sucked again for 7 years. And I'm like, you get to go from LeBron, because the first time he watched the playoffs was the bubble. He was like 6. That's the first time he got into it. And I'm like, you get to go from LeBron and AD to Luka to who knows who's next. Like, you're spoiled. You have no idea. It's like, it's an exciting time, man. It's exciting for everybody. I can't wait to see how this plays out.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Like you said, like, maybe it's a Giannis, maybe it's a Jokic, maybe it's not a superstar, and you have all that cap space to sign and trade players. Like that's the other part of this new CBA is that you will rarely see free agents leave their teams to sign to a new team. It's all done under the direction of like a sign and trade, or you sign your contract with the team and then you ask out like De'Aaron Fox did like this past offseason. So, but cap space is king still. Cap space / flexibility is king.
Yeah. That's
I
one
want to
thing
wrap
Rob
it
was
up
right
with
about.
this. Yeah, I want to wrap it up with this. Just give me your thoughts on like overall grade in this offseason on your end. How would you grade it out?
You
Like
can get me in
from the
trouble.
draft, from the draft to the free
Yeah.
agency, and then Luka extending.
Well, look, from the draft, I think they went from the 55th pick up. You know, they moved up. They got the 35th pick, I want to say, or it was 36th pick. They got a guy that some people had graded in the top 15. He's an athletic freak. Like, I don't think we've seen an athlete like that come into the NBA in years. I started watching video of this guy. I'm like, how the hell did this guy drop to the second round? If he can get his shot back,
he looks insane,
brother. If he can get his shot back, and not to go off track too much, but I'm sure you read the same things. This guy had games in high school. He was making 7, 8 threes.
And you heard about his hand, right? His hand.
Yeah, he just had a crazy growth spurt. Like his hand got too big to shoot a basketball. Like that is very understandable, So
yeah, no, it is.
I get that, and the Walter Group will come in, and I bet you they'll bring in the most elite shooting coach you've ever heard of. They'll work on this kid. So I think the draft was an A from where they started to where they ended up. Free agency, I mean, I'm struggling to think of guys they missed out on. To be honest with you, that you're like, oh, they would have made a huge difference. They had a really damn good free agency. I mean, you took the mid-level, you split it up into your starting center, and a guy that you're taking a flyer on, a young guy who could turn into something. And then you got Marcus Smart for nothing. So I think free agency for what was in front of them, the guys that were available to them, it's an A for me. And honestly, Luka signed an extension. That makes it an A+ by itself. You can't knock anything else they did because they locked in a 26-year-old top 3 player in the world for another 3 years. A+, just off of that. But there's still holes to fill. There's still work to do. I think we're not going to really be able to grade this whole offseason until we see what they do at the deadline. But for the resources they had in front of them, for the resources they used to fill these holes, I think Pelinka, and it hurts me to say it. It doesn't hurt me, sorry. Don't want to be too biased, but it shocks me I'm saying it. He did a good job. He did a good job. I like what they've done.
Hell yeah, man. Definitely a solid pat in the back for Rob Pelinka.
I'm not going to forget the other stuff, but this is good.
Yeah,
this is good.
Yeah. And like I think I don't know if fans like realize like Luka could have not taken his extension. His friend Nikola Jokic didn't take his extension on the Denver Nuggets. And he could have easily just applied pressure on the front office to make whatever moves he wanted. But the overall message, the takeaway from the presser, from everything is he's committed to LA, and he wanted to show his commitment by coming to the gym early, this new and improved Luka, get some shots up, do some weight training, and then go sign your extension with the Lakers and then be eligible for that super max in a few years. And hopefully by then, we have a solution around Austin Reeves, because most likely next offseason is going to be a big one for Austin Reeves. And then we, bring in the necessary or requisite role players, or it's another star. So exciting times. And the best news is Luka's committed. Luka's committed from financially. He's committed from the gym standpoint. And I'm just excited to watch him go play basketball for my favorite team.
I cannot wait, man. Counting down. I don't think I've been this excited for a season to start since the year they got AD.
Probably
like, let's go, man. Let's go.
2020 season. Yeah, hell yeah.
It's like let's get on the court and see what happens.
I know. I definitely can't wait for preseason games. I'm definitely going to be so excited to see what's going on there.
Absolutely.
Well, it was awesome catching up with you today, man. I really appreciate it. You want to tell everyone where the good people can find you?
I mean, I'm just on Twitter. You can find me out there. I had a great time talking to you. You probably find us in each other's mentions talking like this. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. It's Belal_A. And I'm excited for the season. I'm excited to come on. I appreciate you giving me some time. And man, let's get this started, man. Let's go.
Absolutely. Definitely going to have you come back on the show and just get, your unsolicited and real thoughts on the Lakers and everything that's happening. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. And everyone for the show, appreciate if you can give a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel for more Lakers content on Rings and Things.
Yes, sir.
Peace, everyone.
Peace. Thank you.